Okay, so we are leaving Navajo Nation and we are heading up into the east side of the Grand Canyon. So you can kind of see how the landscape has changed from southern Utah. East of the Grand Canyon, in a land of stark beauty, broad skies and little rain, lies the Navajo Nation. Its people, the Diné, are known for their beautiful woolen blankets, clay pottery, and silver and turquoise jewelry, often made the same way their ancestors made them. The Navajo Nation today is the largest Native American tribe in both population and geological size. As 27,000 square miles, the reservation is larger than 10 of the 50 states in the Union. The reservation is primarily in northern Arizona, stretching west to Grand Canyon National Park, north into Utah and into New Mexico. The tribe numbers 250,000 people living on and off of the reservation. They hold an annual Navajo Nation Fair to celebrate their culture and their future. We're heading into the east entrance of the Grand Canyon, which few people ever get to see. And it's definitely worth seeing. There's some gorgeous viewpoints that we'll be driving through here shortly. What is Grand Canyon East? Grand Canyon East, rim defined. The Grand Canyon is essentially a huge rift in the earth, extending about 277 miles from east to west. Grand Canyon East is not a definition used by the National Park Service. It is a definition used by local people to mark the area where a number of popular sites can be visited. The Little Colorado River Gorge, the historic Cameron Trading Post, Marble Canyon, Navajo Bridge, Horseshoe Bend, Antelope Canyon, Rainbow Bridge, Tower Butte, part of Lake Powell, and the Colorado River from the Glen Canyon Dam to Lee's Ferry are all located within the East Rim. Much of the area is also known as the Glen Canyon National Recreation Area, and the remainder is Navajo land. Grand Canyon East is located in an area that is along the Colorado River to the north and the east of the South Rim. If you enter the Grand Canyon through the south entrance, you can stay maybe at the Mather Campground. You could plan a little bit of a half-day trip and drive the East Rim, and it's definitely worth the trip. You're going to see some fantastic viewpoints. You're going to see some great views of the Colorado River, and some say that the eastern viewpoints of the Grand Canyon are a little bit more spectacular than the rest of the park. You just seen some views from Navajo Point, and now we're looking at views from the Lipan Point. Again, all of these views are on the east entrance, and we will be working our way into the park, and you'll see the whole park. Lipan Point, rock-shaped landscapes and tell stories of Earth's past. At Lipan Point, the rocks of the Grand Canyon supergroup take center stage. Look for the tilted rocks at the canyon bottom. These are the rocks of the supergroup. They shape this exceptional view with revealing tales of ancient times. Tilted rocks, originally deposited as flat layers, massive faulting, tilted the supergroup. This faulting accompanied the breakup of an ancient supercontinent called Rodinia, opening what is now the Pacific Ocean. The rocks shape the view. Weak supergroup rocks erode easily, exposing the best view of the river anywhere in the park. The varied strata add bright colors and subtle texture to the rugged and amazing landscape. The rocks of the supergroup are rare records from the deep past. They date from 740 million to 1,200 million years old. Each layer tells a story of life, landscape, and forces that shape our planet. These are scenes of Moran Point. And there was an artist by the name of Thomas Moran. He was a storehouse of pictures. In 1873, geologist John Wesley Powell invited Moran to accompany his geologic survey of the Grand Canyon region. For Moran, the canyon was by far the most awfully grand and impressive scene. As a premier painter of American landscapes, Moran helped inspire Western tourism and pushed Congress toward the establishment of Western national parks in an era of black and white photographs and etchings. Moran's vibrantly colored paintings brought Grand Canyon to life for a nation. Spanish discovery. Near here in the late summer of 1540, soldiers from the Spanish expedition of Francisco Vasquez de Coronado became the first Europeans to see the Grand Canyon. After journeying for 6 months, Coronado's army arrived at the Hopi Mesas, east of Grand Canyon. From there, Garza Lopez de Cardenas, guided by Hopi Indians, led a small party of men to find a reported great river. After 20 days, they reached the south rim of Grand Canyon, emerging from the forest to stand on the edge of this vast chasm. Cardenas' party spent 3 days trying to reach the bottom of the canyon. In vain, they returned to the Coronado to report their discovery. The discovery site, the exact site where Cardenas and his men first saw Grand Canyon, is unknown. Castaneda described the site as elevated and full of low, twisted pines lying open to the north. This, along with descriptions of their travel route, places the site between here and Desert View. How do we know? This is something that was written. After they had gone 20 days, they came to the banks of the river, the canyon rim. They spent 3 days on this bank looking for a passage down. It was impossible to descend. The 3 lightest and most agile men made an attempt to go down at the least difficult place and went down until those who were above were unable to keep sight of them. They returned about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, not having succeeded. Those who stayed above had estimated that some huge rocks on the sides of the cliffs seemed to be about as tall as a man, but those who went down swore that when they reached those rocks, they were bigger than the Great Tower of Seville. This here is the Grand View Point area, again on the east rim. The year is 1898, and you have come to decide whether the lofty reports you've heard about Grand Canyon are true. Pete Berry, miner turned hotel manager, greets you here at his Grand View Hotel and escorts you to the canyon rim, Awestruck, you quickly forget about bone-jarring 12-hour stagecoach ride from Flagstaff. You begin to ponder tomorrow's mule ride into the canyon. Thus began Grand Canyon tourism. Mining proved only briefly profitable, so a few entrepreneurs like Pete Berry turned to tourists for profits. In 1893, Berry offered crude lodging in a cabin here at Grandview and began guiding eager mule-riding patrons into the canyon. In 1897, he built a 2-story log hotel and later added a large frame building. Until 1901, Grandview was Grand Canyon's most popular tourist destination. Grandview boasted the best hotel, and some said the best trail. After 1901, when the Santa Fe Railroad reached Grand Canyon Village, 11 miles west of here, few tourists opted for the jolting stagecoach ride to Grandview. Today, little remains of Pete Berry's hotel on the rim. Getting ready to enter Grand Canyon Village. We're heading over to the Mather Campground. Before we head over to our campground where we're going to be staying for the next 3 nights, we're going to the dump station. We're going to dump our tanks and fill up our fresh water. Well, over here, to our surprise, there's just like tons of elk. Watch and see what happens. It's just hilarious. So all of the elk, they hang around the water fill station where people fill up their RVs. And as you're filling up your tanks, they're just catching all the drips of water and they're drinking right there. And they scare the heck out of you because they're so darn huge, but they're just after the water and they're not wanting to bother you, but they are bothering you. Anyway, this is really kind of cute. Or I should say scary cute. We're filling up our water tank on the RV, and this elk is right here, drinking on the drips.
Water in, we already went through the line. There was someone going backwards getting.
So we're all dumping our tanks and filling our tanks. Look at all these elks. They're right here.
Oh, they're probably going to start a fight over the water.
They're going to start a fight over the water, and we still got to disconnect our hose off of this where this elk is drinking. There's 2 of them here now.
Is there anything coming out? Oh,
yeah, it's coming out. Oh my Lord. This guy's trying to dump his tanks too. I mean, we're just being terrorized here with these elks. This is a trip. I'm gonna run the horn, the air horn, and get rid of these animals right now. No? Okay.
If you make a loud noise, they're gonna stampede and kill us all.
Okay.
They say do not make loud noises for animals. You'll make them stampede.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. No. Don't set that bear horn off when I'm by the water.
I'm trying to get rid of them. Look at this. This guy is in front of us.
This is where they live. They're getting water.
Look at this poor guy. He's got to get here. Oh my God. He's got to get his hose off of here. And this elk is just right up on his ass. Let me check. So that was our big elk adventure. You know, it's funny. You never know how you're going to react on situations like this. It was just so crazy. Anyway, we're here at Mather Campground. Absolutely love our campsite. Very close to the bathrooms, really large sites, and very close walking distance to the shuttles. Campgrounds are really clean. Restrooms are really clean. Great place. I highly recommend the Mather Campground. You can even actually walk to all of the stores and grocery stores, and it's great. We are here at the Mather Campground in Grand Canyon, and our site is right by the restroom, which we do always like. And we are basically right here. And our site is really nice and spacious. It's a pull-through, which is nice. We've got a nice big picnic table, fire pit with a little grill on it. Got our chairs right here. And otherwise, the campgrounds are really nice and spacious. few other class Bs right around us. So this is us for the next 3 nights here in Mather Campground in the Grand Canyon. So we've got to do a little walk here and go meet our shuttle, and that way we can view the canyon. But otherwise, this is Mather Campground, site A053.
Welcome to Grand Canyon. This stunning landscape reveals more about Earth's rich geologic history than almost anywhere else in the world. If the canyon walls could speak, what stories would they tell? How did their colorful rocks form? What forces gouged this canyon deep into them? What does this land offer to the people who live and those who visit from around the world? Our story begins with a look at present-day Earth. All of its continents just
After exploring the visitor center and enjoying the theater that they have available for your viewing, we head over to the El Tovar, which is one of the oldest hotels in the Grand Canyon, and there we have a fantastic lunch. Luckily enough, we didn't have to make reservations, or I should say we got lucky to get in. I highly recommend, if you want to have breakfast, lunch, or dinner here at the El Tovar, definitely make reservations. It's really hard to get in, but the food is fantastic, and you're getting to see some fantastic canyon views while you enjoy your meal. Nice lunch at the El Tovar. We head across the way to the Hopi House, which is an absolutely fantastic place to wander around or buy souvenirs. It's just a really neat place to go in. By the way, after we parked our RV at Mather Campground, we did not have to drive it again. We did everything that you're seeing, and we'll continue to see. Everything was done by shuttle or walking. So once you're parked, enjoy the shuttle system. It's really fantastic the way they have it designed here in the Grand Canyon. And that's it. Shuttle and walking will get you everywhere that you want to go. If you happen to be in a wheelchair, everything is wheelchair accessible also. There's also quite a few hotels outside of the south entrance of the Grand Canyon. By the way, the shuttles will go there and pick you up and bring you in also. So if you happen to be in a hotel, once you're there, you can just do the shuttle system and do the whole park also. You don't have to drive. Let's talk a little bit more about the history of the Grand Canyon. But before we do, I'm going to tell you a saying of Leonardo da Vinci. And he says, "In time and with water, everything changes." Isn't that a true statement? Especially here in the Grand Canyon. So adapting to change, ancient people hunted and foraged throughout Grand Canyon. They might have entered and left by some of the same trailheads in use today. Seasons and perhaps tradition guided their forays. Shifts in climate might have caused the extinction of some plants and prey important in their diet and material culture, but they weathered these and other changes by adapting. Masonry structures, images drawn and etched into rock, and objects placed at the upper reaches of pinnacles show that the canyon sheltered, fed, and inspired people for millennia. The grand scale of the place and a gulf of time, 600 generations deep, separately, the early people of the canyon from us. Hunters. A broken spear point tells us that a hunter passed through Marble Canyon at the park's northeastern edge about 11,000 years before present. Some tribes associated with the canyon may be descendants of this hunter, who possibly used this spear to bring down now extinct large mammals such as mammoth and smaller game like deer and bighorn sheep. The broken point is one of the few artifacts found inside of the park made by Paleo Indians, the earliest human inhabitants of North America. They probably came across a land bridge from Asia during the last ice age. Foragers. The river could have been a touchstone for Grand Canyon's Paleo Indians from 12,000 before present and archaic peoples from 9,000 before present. It provided drinking water in conditions where useful plants like willow, amaranth, mesquite, and saltbush could grow. You may see many other species here today that are modern invaders. Some archaic and basket maker from 2000 before present peoples from uplands could have taken refuge in the canyon close to the river when the climate became warmer and drier. Dwellers. Throughout the 277-mile, 455-kilometer river corridor inside the park, people built masonry rooms, hearths, and pits for roasting food, or perhaps firing pottery. The earliest pottery found in Grand Canyon dates from about 1500 before present, when Puebloan people farmed along the canyon rims and deltas. The combination of masonry rooms, pottery tools, and hearths show that some people not only hunted and foraged, but also lived full lives here. 11 traditionally associated tribes, I'm going to try and say these properly, the Havasupai Apache, Havasupai, the Hopi, the Hualapai, Kanab Paiute, Las Vegas Paiute, the Moapa, the Paiuta, Navajo, Paiute Indian, San Juan Southern Paiute, and Zuni continue to live in or use the canyons for trade, to collect plants, minerals, and other traditional materials, and for ceremonial purposes. I apologize for any mispronunciations of the tribal names. Uncovering human history. From 2006 to 2009, people of several tribes traditionally associated with Grand Canyon worked with park staff and the Museum of Northern Arizona on excavations in the park. Although most tribes opposed any disturbance of their heritage, circumstances justified the Grand Archaeology Project. The erosion of sediments in the river corridor had uncovered long-buried artifacts and structures, exposing them to damage by weather and other dangers. Through their traditional knowledge, tribal people enriched the project. They helped identify meanings and uses of artifacts and discovered links with their ancestors. How can understanding and preserving these artifacts have value for all of us? Well, the Grand Canyon National Park preserves and protects wildlife, natural systems, and cultural resources for future generations. The hunter's spear came to rest in a sublime vertical landscape. Its broken point was found halfway between the rim where the canyon walls meet the surrounding plateau and the bottom where the Colorado River now runs. 6 million years earlier, the river and its tributaries began to carve downward through the plateau. The story of the Grand Canyon's formation is much deeper than 6 million years and is still continuing. Since 65 million years ago, the entire Rocky Mountain Colorado Plateau region has begun rising. The same sedimentary rocks, sandstone, limestone, and shale lie immediately below the plateau's crust. Shallow seas and changing rivers deposited the sediments over nearly 2 billion years. The Colorado and its tributary rivers flowed across and cut into the plateau, revealing flat-lying multicolored rocks formed in the Paleozoic era, around 541 to 252 million years before present. These layers, visible from both north and south rims, contain marine fossils that record some of Earth's earliest life forms. Below the Paleozoic rocks are the tilted layers of the Grand Canyon supergroup, which formed about 1 billion years before present. You can see them from the Desert View Drive and from the Yavapai Geology Museum. Below the supergroup, at the canyon bottom, the river cut through some of the plateau's oldest or basement rocks, formed as much as 1.84 billion years before present. Water in the rocks, precipitation falling on the Coconino South Rim and Kaibab North Rim plateaus becomes Grand Canyon's groundwater. It percolates through porous, faulted, or fractured rock. Some water exists from the canyon walls far below the rims as springs or seeps. Roaring Springs is one of the Grand Canyon's 700 seasonal and perennial seeps and springs. It emerges from a limestone cave 3,500 feet below the North Rim and eastern Grand Canyon. A pipeline built in the 1960s travels through the Phantom Ranch at the canyon bottom before it reaches the South Rim. It is the only local source of drinking water for both rims and the inner canyon. Breaks and repairs sometimes interrupt water delivery. These are views from Yaqui Point. They also have a geology museum up here, and many people come up here to Yaqui Point to see the sunsets, which are incredible. We're heading out of the Grand Canyon, and it is definitely a national treasure waiting to be explored. We're exiting through the South Rim, and we will be stopping in the little town of Valle, which is about 27 miles south of Grand Canyon. This is a good little stop to gas up and buy your last-minute souvenirs. By the way, Valle, Arizona, the name of the town has been going through a change, which they now call Grand Canyon Junction. And here you're going to find the Grand Canyon Hotel. They have a wonderful gas station. They have some little tourist sites that you can go into, like Flintstone Town. They have a lot of cute little things. It's turning into a really touristy little area on your way to the Grand Canyon. Again, it's about 27 miles before you reach the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And it's a growing little tourist attraction. And this is one last stop in Valle for us. This is some property that we've owned for many years. And anytime we're in this area, we always stop in and see how it's doing. Well, you've been road trekking with Ro and Lo. I hope you enjoyed our Grand Canyon adventure, definitely as much as we did. Thank you for watching, and happy RVing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. That way you can be notified when we place new content. Thank you.